Knicks in Orlando tonight, the start of a three-game road trip. Knicks coming off a tough loss to the Hawks, which knocked them out of the NBA Cup. To the Magic City we go. Big Karl Anthony Towns night. Finished with 22 points, 22 boards. Knicks led by 10 at the half, 51-41. Jalen Brunson led all scorers with 31 off the miss. Puts up the long three. Beautiful lefty stroke. Brunson 4 of his 8 from three-point range. This was a physical, low-scoring game. Brunson the drive and the finish. Knicks go on to win it 100-91, winning the first game of a three-game trip. Head coach Tom Thibodeau on the physical nature of the game.
You know, it was physical. It was a lot of contact, but I thought we played smart. And you know, I want the contact with intelligence, right? Body position and communication. I thought that was much better today. So, and again, just continue to focus on daily improvement.
Always excited when this gentleman joins us. CP the Fanchise, creator of Knicks Fan TV. Talk a little hoops. CP, welcome. Good to see you, brother.
Mark, happy holidays. Always good to be on with you, man.
All right, CP, physical game we saw down in Orlando. Jalen Brunson knocked around by Jalen Suggs. Magic play physical, but is this the new strategy for Brunson, getting physical?
Absolutely, and it's not just physical, but it's with size. You know, a lot of teams that the Knicks are playing now are putting a lot of lengthier, more athletic wings on Jalen Brunson to try to shut him down or try to limit him. Tonight with the Orlando Magic, I mean, you saw a multitude of defenders guarding Jalen Brunson from 90 feet. But the thing about Jalen Brunson is that he is the captain of the New York Knicks. He is a superstar, and he was able to execute against a stingy Orlando Magic defense. 8 of 18 from the field, 31 points. I thought the Knicks did a good job of getting him isolated in spots where it would limit the Orlando Magic help defense. And for Jalen Brunson, when he comes up against these stingier defenders, they're going to force him to make tough shots, and he did that tonight.
All right, CP, a lot was made of Trae Young, right? Pantomime of throwing dice on the Knicks logo at the end of the game the other night. Is he now the biggest Knicks villain?
Currently, yes. In an era where there's really no rivalries right now in the NBA, he absolutely is a big Knicks villain. I was there in the building at Madison Square Garden there when Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks defeated the Knicks, and they're rolling the dice and the fans playing into it. It was a playoff type of atmosphere, but that's what Trae Young and brings to this rivalry. And so for the Knicks, they're going to have to exercise this demon. They've now lost to the Hawks twice this season, and so when they do face each other again, I believe it's in April, they're going to need to extract revenge.
All right, when Brunson was asked about what Young did, he said if he won the game, we wouldn't be talking about it. Talk about the leadership here of Jalen Brunson and what he means to this Knicks team.
That's why he's the captain, Mark. And when I heard those comments and I saw Jalen struggling against Dyson Daniels, give him credit. The Atlanta Hawks have a great defense. I expected a bounce-back game tonight against the Orlando Magic, and that's what Jalen Brunson did. He rarely has back-to-back letdown games, and that's what captains do. That's what leaders do. They hold themselves accountable. He goes back and he looks at film and then goes out there and executes. And Jalen Brunson was brilliant in the Knicks' 100-91 win over the Orlando Magic.
All right, CP, next up, a trip to Minnesota. You know what that means. Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo. During the preseason, Dante got into it with Knicks assistant coach Rick Brunson. What do you think we can expect Thursday night out in Minnesota?
I think it's going to be fireworks, Mark. Those guys are going to be fired up to go against their old team. They were not happy to be traded away from this New York Knicks organization, especially that late in the offseason heading into training camp. And as we saw, Dante DiVincenzo demonstrably upset in their preseason matchup. And so those guys will be fired up. This will also be Karl Anthony Towns' homecoming with the Minnesota faithful. And Karl Anthony Towns, a fan favorite in that town, and not just as a player, but also as a member of the community there in Minnesota. So there will be a warm welcome ovation for Karl Anthony Towns. So I'm very much looking forward to that matchup.
All right, CP, when you look at the big picture for this Knicks team, right, offensively, they're fantastic, right? They can beat you in a lot of different ways. And tonight they won a physical battle against the Orlando Magic. Concern level when you look at this team defensively as this season does go along, when they have a head coach in Tom Thibodeau that emphasizes defense, minutes, obviously effort night in and night out. What's your concern level with this team being good enough defensively to get through the East come playoff time?
On a 1 being not concerned and a 5 being very concerned, I'm at about a 4, Mark, because they do not play championship caliber defense consistently, in particular in 2 areas. Number 1, in the point of attack, in terms of slowing down opposing guards. That's what Mikal Bridges was brought in here to do, and he's been inconsistent in that area. And so once they break down at the point of attack, it puts a lot of stress on your rim protectors, and that is Karl-Anthony Towns, who is not the greatest in that regard. And so the Knicks are in need of some front court help and perimeter defense as well. So we'll have to see what happens with if and when Mitchell Robinson comes back, or if the Knicks will go out there and make a deal at the deadline. But there's no question that this team is not ready defensively to be considered one of the best in the league.
Well, CP, you led me into my last question perfectly, and that is Mitchell Robinson, right? He's better in theory than reality. Well, all Knicks fans know it, right? Because he's never healthy, he's never on the court. Great defensive player, great rebounder, great rim protector, not really much of an offensive player. How patient can the Knicks be waiting for Mitchell Robinson, or is this an area where Leon Rose needs to be aggressive by hitting the trade market?
I think they will certainly have their ears around the trade market and see what's out there. The one thing about the Knicks is the way that they orchestrate their roster and sign players, it's always a setup for the next move. And one thing that they've been successful at doing is finding bargain deals at the trade deadline along the margins. And so you may hear names like Nick Richards of the Charlotte Hornets. Maybe it's a Jonas Valanciunas from the Washington Wizards, a Dwap Reith, backup center from the Portland Trail Blazers. I think they will go out there and look for front court help. The issue is, Mark, is that they don't have many assets left to deal with after depleting a lot of their war chest in the Mikal Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns trades. And so this is going to be another area where we'll have to see how Leon Rose and his regime is able to navigate with limited resources to fill a need that they desperately need to fill in order to be a true contender in this league.
CP, love talking Knicks basketball with you. By the way, nobody has a better studio setup than CP the Fanchise. It's amazing. Happy holidays to you and your family, and appreciate the time tonight, CP.
Thanks, Mark. Anytime, man. Have a great week.
You got it. You as well. And it is a good Sunday night because the Knicks win.